There is only one moment when cinema decides whether it dies or becomes eternal, and it's the final shot. That image that sums up everything, that stays with you, that compresses the whole film into a single frame. A face staring, a door closing, a road disappearing into the night. Today, we're not talking about plots, but about visual transcendence. From Kubrick's Void to Tarkovsky's Miracle. These are the 10 final shots that didn't just end a story. They defined the soul of the seventh art. The final shot of Fight Club isn't just an explosion. It's a composition measured to the millimeter. Two figures centered in the frame, holding hands, silhouetted against the darkness as buildings collapse in the background. The camera stays steady, indifferent, while the world falls apart. That stillness is the key. The chaos happens behind them, but the focus is on human connection. Look at the image, two silhouettes holding hands at the edge of the abyss. It's the only real moment of connection in 2 hours of film, and it happens precisely when the outside world disappears. Through the glass, the temples of Capitol collapse in a perfect choreography. But don't get it twisted. This isn't an apology for chaos. It's a savage critique of radicalization. It's the result of a society so superficial and dehumanized that it can only find identity through hatred and annihilation. Tyler Durden wasn't the hero. He was the symptom of an illness. In that window, we see the collapse of a system that sold us happiness through furniture catalogs, but also the danger of ideologies that promise freedom in exchange for fire. At the end, when the narrator says, "You met me at a very strange time in my life," we understand the tragedy. Only when there's nothing left to buy and nothing left to hate do we recover our humanity. It's the shot that reminds us true transcendence isn't in burning buildings, but in the hand you squeeze while everything falls to pieces. The final shot of Memories of Murder doesn't close a case. It opens a wound in real life. After 2 hours of a desperate, frustrating, rain-soaked search, Bong Joon-ho decides to break the fourth wall in the most disturbing way possible. He doesn't do it to wink at us, but to point at us. Put it in its real context, the detail that makes this ending legendary. When the film was shot in 2003, the Hwaseong serial killer, the real monster the film is based on, was still free. The director admitted he filmed this close-up of Detective Park staring straight into the camera with a macabre intention. He knew the killer, driven by ego, would go to the cinema to see himself portrayed. Bong Joon-ho wanted the criminal, in the darkness of the theater, to come face to face with the eyes of the man hunting him. Song Kang-ho's gaze is an acting miracle. There's no hatred, no fury. There's a desolate emptiness. It's the face of a man who has understood that evil is ordinary. Moments earlier, a little girl tells him the man who was there recently had a normal face. That revelation is the real horror. The monster has no claws or horns. He's a neighbor, a co-worker, someone sitting right next to you in the cinema. This shot is the end of the detective's innocence and the confirmation of our own helplessness. He looks at you, searching the audience for that ordinary man who committed atrocities. It's one of the most powerful images of the 21st century because it turns the viewer into a suspect. It leaves us with the eternal doubt that while we watch the screen, evil might be watching us back. The final shot of Melancholia is the end of the world. Without epic spectacle. 3 figures inside a fragile magic cave made of branches trying to hold up a childlike illusion while a colossal planet fills the entire sky. The composition is almost painterly, a human triangle in the foreground, apocalyptic blue devouring the background. There is no escape in the frame, no horizon, only destiny. The emotional context is what makes it eternal. While Claire collapses into rational panic, Justine, sunk in clinical depression, remains in absolute calm. For her, the end of the world isn't a tragedy, it's harmony. The shot captures that exact instant when one individual's inner pain finally matches the universe's fate. The ultimate relief, when there's nothing left to suffer for, because there is nothing left. The shot flips the hero narrative. There is no last-minute salvation here. Von Trier uses the collision of planets as a perfect metaphor for clinical depression. That state where the outer world finally synchronizes with the inner emptiness of the soul. The camera stays static, forcing us to witness the icy beauty of our own extinction. It's the shot that reminds us the real tragedy isn't death, it's loneliness. In the final scene of Stalker, we're faced with a shot that borders on the supernatural. The camera, with its slow, magnetic movement, glides over a humble table where 3 glasses rest. And then it happens. The glass moves on its own, trembling with an energy that seems to come from the girl's very consciousness as she watches. Throughout the film, we've crossed the zone searching for a tangible miracle, proof of the transcendent. That forbidden territory where a room is said to grant the deepest wishes of the soul, never offered proof. The men who walked it searched for meaning, faith, validation, and came back empty. But the miracle doesn't happen at the heart of the mystery. It happens in the kitchen of a humble home. Tarkovsky denies spectacle. The supposed power doesn't arrive with music or grand effects, but with an almost domestic stillness. The composition is austere. Horizontal lines, muted tones, a fixed frame that turns the miracle into something ambiguous. Is it real? Is it suggestion? Does it matter? What's truly devastating is the distant sound of the train, that vibration cutting through the shot like an echo of the outside world. Faith and hopelessness coexist in the same frame. The girl, marked by the zone, is the only remnant of the inexplicable. This shot is a critique of modern society's skepticism. In a world where everything needs justification, Tarkovsky's cinema rises as an act of faith. It is the image of the unexplainable. Watching the object slowly slide, we stop being spectators and become witnesses to something sacred. The ending of Cries and Whispers is an emotional trap. After witnessing Agnes's physical and spiritual agony, Bergman gives us a flashback to the garden of the house. A static shot, bathed in a light of unbearable beauty, where the 3 sisters and the maid Anna walk in an instant of pure happiness. It's an image that hurts, not because of what we see, but because of what we know will come after. The cancer, the abandonment, and the silence of the soul. The tragedy of this shot lives in the temporal contrast. The camera lingers on Agnes's face. It's a young face, filled with a peace that the rest of the film will only allow her through suffering. Seeing her there, so alive, while the viewer carries the memory of her agonizing death, is a form of psychological violence. Bergman forces us to witness the absolute fragility of human happiness. He shows us that paradise was not a reality, but a memory soon to be devoured by resentment and illness. When the image cuts and the title card appears, thus ended the Cries and Whispers. We don't feel emptiness, but a necessary closure. It's the echo of a family story that, despite its cracks, was lived. This shot is a lesson in empathy. In a world where we often get lost in noise and disconnection, Bergman invites us to look back and remember the moments of light. It's an invitation to value people for those moments of harmony, understanding that even if life is fleeting, what we leave in others is what truly remains. The final shot of Paris, Texas isn't a goodbye or a breakup. It's the highest act of love that exists. There is no physical reunion. There is ontological eternity. Travis understands that his physical presence can no longer inhabit the home Jane still holds in her heart. Travis has crossed the entire desert searching for a truth, and when he looks at Jane through the peep show glass, he recognizes that her love isn't a ghost of the past. It's a living, present, eternal fire. We see Travis's face. There is no tragedy there. There is a desolate clarity. He knows she loves him with a loyalty that defies time, but he also knows he is too broken to be the refuge she deserves. His redemption isn't in staying, but in giving his son the chance at a full life, freeing Jane from the shadow of his own self-destruction. It's a sacrifice where love is purified. Travis doesn't walk away from his love. He walks away to protect it. And then, the final shot, the car driving away. The camera watches as a point of metal disappears into the infinite grid of Los Angeles lights. Travis doesn't leave for oblivion. He leaves for exile, aware that even if the distance is absolute, his union with Jane no longer depends on physical presence. The final shot of The 400 Blows is an escape that leads nowhere. Antoine runs toward the sea as if he's running toward freedom. The camera follows him in a nervous, almost documentary tracking shot until the horizon opens up. For the first time, there are no walls, no classroom, no cell, only space. And then comes the gesture that changed modern cinema. Antoine stops. He turns. He looks straight into the camera. Freeze frame. In that instant, fiction breaks. Antoine stops being a character and becomes a real boy in front of us. The gaze isn't defiant or pleading. It's ambiguous. It asks and accuses at the same time. We don't know what will happen to him. We don't know if he escaped or if he simply reached another limit. The sea isn't a promise. It's uncertainty. It's the definitive image of adolescence as a state of permanent uncertainty. There are no parents, no judges, no walls anymore. Only the roar of the ocean and a boy looking at us, waiting for an answer. It's a shot that transcends the script and becomes a mirror of our own vulnerability. By freezing that look, Truffaut didn't just end his film. He captured the essence of what it means to grow up, being thrown into the world without a map, with fear and hope dancing in the same gaze. The most mysterious and transcendental image in cinema history. The final shot of 2001. A Space Odyssey explains nothing. After crossing the psychedelic Stargate journey and transforming inside that impossible white room, the old Bowman raises his hand. And suddenly, he is no longer a man. He is the star child, suspended in space, floating in front of Earth. The composition is a lesson in scale, a tiny, vulnerable being, yet with the power of a new species, facing the immensity of the cosmos. This shot isn't just a science fiction image, it's the symbol of the next stage of our evolution. Kubrick takes the ground away from us, takes technology away from us, and forces us to look forward. There are no answers, no clear message. With that final image, the film becomes ours. It's unbearably beautiful because it confronts us with our own smallness. It reminds us that our story, our wars, our ambitions, our fear of the void, is only the prologue to something immeasurable. That child isn't an individual. It's the consciousness of the human species finally freed from the prison of time and matter. By ending on this image, Kubrick turns the screen into a dark mirror where the viewer no longer sees a movie, but the horizon of their own transcendence. He leaves us orphaned of answers, but lit by a terrifying, sublime certainty. Our true destiny isn't on the ground we walk on, but in our spirit's capacity to dissolve into the whole. The final shot of The Godfather is the death of the soul. After denying to Kay that he ordered Carlo's death, Michael remains seated, motionless, as men enter one by one to kiss his hand. The camera sits slightly behind Kay. We don't share Michael's power, we share her distance. The composition is masterful. Michael is centered in the frame, surrounded by shadows, almost absorbed by the penumbra. Kay sits at the edge, lit, still tied to the ordinary world. It's the last border between two realities. And then the definitive gesture happens. The door slowly closes on her face. It's not just a physical door. It's the closing of an identity. Michael is no longer the son who promised to stay clean. He is the godfather. The shot condenses the film's Shakespearean tragedy. The man who wanted to protect his family becomes the very thing that dooms it. When the frame darkens, we understand we haven't witnessed a victory. We've witnessed the completion of an irreversible moral transformation. And cinema, with one simple closing door, becomes classical tragedy. The most perfect, most complex, most desolate shot cinema has ever projected. After 5 years of obsession, after a violent journey through a landscape that looks like the end of the world, Ethan Edwards, the anti-hero played by John Wayne, returns Debbie home. The composition is an exercise in geometric genius. The family steps out of the house to greet her. The door, wide open, acts as a natural frame connecting the warm, civilized interior with the wild darkness outside. And there, on the threshold, stands Ethan. What makes this shot the greatest in history is the intention of his loneliness. While everyone goes inside, he stays outside. He grips his arm and turns back towards the desert. John Ford leaves him there, a man who cannot belong to the civilization he has just saved. Ethan Edwards is a centaur, half man, half beast, a being made for war, for hatred, for the desert. Home is not for him. That frame condenses the entire classic Western. The hero who makes civilization possible cannot inhabit it. He is necessary, but incompatible. Protector and threat at the same time. The home exists because of him, but he belongs to the horizon. The shot doesn't just end a story, it ends an era of American cinema. With a simple doorframe, Ford creates the most mythical, legendary shot ever filmed. The movie begins with a door opening onto the desert. It ends with a door closing on him. It's not just a composition, it's a perfect visual rhyme. The myth is born and dies inside the same frame.